What is up, you guys? I'm Sid, and today we are going to be talking about the correlation between kind of the soul energy that you put into certain incarnations, like the commitment level of being a certain type of animal, and the length of certain animal species pregnancies. So let's get into it. This is a weird, trippy thought that I had a few weeks ago, just thinking about, my favorite animals and animals that I might have been in past incarnations, animals that I might want to be in the future, and just looking at other people and talking to them about their favorite animals and what animal they would want to be in their next life or something. And I was thinking about the commitment level of being that animal and how it takes a while to grow a human baby, like 9-ish months, right? And I was like, it takes a lot to show up as a human. And I was just thinking about cats and dogs, their gestation period is shorter, like 2 months-ish. I thought it was longer actually, but when I researched it, it says about 2 months for a domestic dog or cat pregnancy. And I was like, wow, okay. And I feel like that takes a certain level of commitment too, but not as much as being a human, right? So then I was like, let me research these other animals. Like, what animals have super long gestation periods? And that would be like an elephant. I'm pretty sure that's the longest. There's also an octopus that's longer. The deep sea octopus can have a gestation period of up to 53 months. That's like over 4 years of being pregnant. That is wild. And I feel like an octopus is a pretty specific thing that people would want to incarnate as. And octopi are like super intelligent, kind of have this like Arcturian vibe to them. I don't know why, but they're just like super intelligent. They are like a supercomputer of the ocean, to be honest. So I feel like people who would want to incarnate as an octopus, like that is a high level commitment for them. I feel like that's kind of a specific thing that not everybody wants to be. And then the elephant, which is like a well-known animal that has a long pregnancy. Elephants are pregnant for 22 months. That is a long time. That's almost 2 years. And I feel like if somebody wants to be an elephant, that soul will take 22 months to wait to be born, to go through this process. It's not like a spur of the moment decision like, yes, I want to be an elephant. Like, no, if you really want to be an elephant, you'll wait this time period. Same for other things like giraffes. I freaking love giraffes. And it says their gestation period is about 420 to 450 days. That's over a year. That's a long time. Camels, another pretty specific animal that not a lot of people I feel like are like, oh yeah, that's my spirit animal, or like that's what I want to be in the next life. But if you really want to be a camel, then you're gonna wait that 13 to 14 months. Lions, I feel like this is a more popular one to want to be, but also seems like an animal that people aren't going to want to wait over a year. Some people would totally be willing to wait that over a year period, but I feel like the people who want to be lions are, wanting it quicker, if that makes sense. I feel like that makes sense. The people who get it will get it. The people who don't won't. And whatever, take what resonates and leave what doesn't, but this is just my own deep spiritual trippy thoughts, okay? So a lion's gestation period is less than 4 months, okay? Longer than like a domestic dog or cat, but shorter than a human or these other types of animals. Dolphins are pregnant for about 10 to 14 months, which seems really fitting. I love dolphins, and I feel like if somebody wanted to incarnate as a dolphin, they would wait a long time to do that. Great white sharks are pretty similar. I would say about a year-long pregnancy. There's kind of some conflicting research, as you can see, but that's because there's lots of different species of sharks. Smaller sharks are going to take not as long, but then we have a dogfish shark that has a pregnancy of almost 2 years, one of the longest gestation periods there is. So this rule of size equals pregnancy length does not always work. This is where the soul commitment level comes into play, my theory. Now, a bear is about 7 or 8 months, seems kind of fitting. A horse is 335 to 342 days. That is so specific. I'm going to leave the sources linked in this description too. But these are just really quick results that you guys can get off of EcoScia or Google or something. I feel like a horse is a lot of people's spirit animals. I've talked on TikTok a bit. I made a video about like Castor and Pollux, these stars in the Gemini constellation that I feel like there's horses on, and these like horse girls, etc. have kind of come from and have had long incarnations, or at least powerful incarnations in those places where there are horses and humans who love horses and centaurs, you know, cross between humans and horses. Horses being pregnant for almost a year just seems fitting to me. A goat is about 150 days. Seems fitting. Donkey is kind of interesting, but it makes sense if you think about it. It's about like a year exactly, like 365 days. And I feel like there's so much symbolism behind the donkey being an ass. If someone agrees to experience that, they'll wait a year, you know what I mean? Okay, now let's talk about the shortest gestation periods. Squirrels are pregnant for about 40 days, chipmunks are pregnant for about 30 to 32 days, and rabbits are about 28 to 31 days. The Virginia possum, the shortest known gestation period, lasting about 12 days. That is under 2 weeks, y'all. That is crazy. I feel like a possum would be longer. Maybe other types of possums are longer. I'm not quite sure. Let's Google that real quick. Gestation period for possums is approximately 12 to 13 days. It's not just like one species of possums. It is all possums. This is one of the shortest gestation periods among mammals. After birth, the young possums, called joeys, like a kangaroo, remain in their mother's pouch for about 70 to 125 days. So that's another thing to think about. Even though they're born after like 12 or 13 days, they're in their mom's pouch for like a third of a year. So now I'm curious how long kangaroos are pregnant for. So let's look at that. Oh my gosh, only 30 something days, but I'm sure they remain in their mom's pouch for a long time too. About 6 to 10 months. Even though they're only pregnant for like a month, a little bit over a month, they stay in their mom's pouch after that for like up to 10 months usually. Some other short pregnancy lengths, it says the eastern bandicoot, a marsupial native to Southeast Australia with a gestation period of about 12 days, but that's a marsupial, so it's like a kangaroo and it's like a possum, so I'm sure they stay in the pouch longer than that. Okay, so I feel like that doesn't really count. But yeah, domestic dogs and cats, about 2 months gestation period. But if you look at things like insects, okay, a housefly is pregnant for like 24 hours, if that, to be honest. Not to mention these other bugs that are pregnant for a very short amount of time. However, I thought it was very interesting. There's some species, especially of beetles and stuff, that are pregnant for several months. So if you just Google how long bugs are pregnant for, it says the gestation period for bugs varies by species, ranging from 24 hours to several months. And I know some of these other species don't reproduce the same way that mammals do, but I was just curious. Frogs are between 1 to 3 weeks, but like it's a totally different process. Iguanas, the gestation period is 59 to 84 days with an average of 65 days. I was curious about snakes now. So boa constrictors are 5 to 6 months, rattlesnakes 2 to 3 months, which I feel like would make sense that it's easier to just commit to being a rattlesnake than it would be to be a boa constrictor, okay? So anyways, if you're curious about a certain type of animal and how long they're pregnant for, look it up. It's really easy to check now that we have the internet. Makes it really freaking convenient. But yeah, I think every animal that I've looked up so far just kind of backs up my weird theory of the length of pregnancy correlating to kind of the commitment level of that incarnation. Also, there is a link between the gestation period, like how long that is, and then how long the lifespan of that animal is. Humans have a pretty long gestation period. We have a pretty long life. Bugs whose gestation period are only 24 hours do not live a very long life. Elephants who have a super long gestation period tend to have a pretty long life, so there's definitely a correlation between gestation period and lifespan, of course, depending on environmental factors and all of that. I'm going to be posting another video shortly on different types of animals' menstrual cycles, because naturally, after thinking about animals' pregnancies, I was really curious about other animals' menstrual cycle and if it is linked up to the moon at all. The answer might surprise you, so stay tuned for that video next. Peace out.